Okay, so that's another 10-minute sculpt done, and like a real YouTube noob, I forgot to actually hit the go live button, so the first two sculpts didn't appear in the live stream. It got recorded, so I will be uploading this later on, but I can show you. This was the second sculpt I did in 10 minutes. I'm actually gonna pause time here. So this was the second sculpt, and I'm recreating images that I find on Google by just searching for landscape photography. But I'm gonna save this one. We're gonna call it number 6 because it's the 6th speech sculpt I do like this. All right. And I can show you the first one I did as well. It's in here. This was the first one I did. And I'm going to be collecting all of these in a single dream scene, so you can actually see the first ones I did and compare them with the last ones, which will hopefully be even better. And this was the ones I did yesterday. Here. So I will be adding in the new ones as well to this one. Let's see. 5 and number 6. All right. And then when I'm finished with the stream here, I will be going in and I'll be adding some doorways to the scenes, so they will actually progress from dream to dream, or from scene to scene. Okay, but I'm gonna be doing one more 10-minute sculpt, and that will then be it for today. And I'm gonna be finding, I'm going to try and find an interesting landscape image to use as reference. Let's see what I can find. Let's see. Okay, so I think I found one here that I will try and recreate. It's a seaside setting with some rocks in the near foreground, and then we have this very large cliff or a small mountain in the far background. The near foreground is quite misty, which gives this very nice effect to the scene and to the mood of the scene. I'm going to be trying to recreate that in 10 minutes, and I will then add all of the scenes to this stream here. Let's go out. I'm going to create a new one, make a new scene. All right. And I'm going to put in the timer, which is here. Add it off to the side, turn on the microchip, go in and edit the placement of the timer for you guys to see it. Can move it off to the side here. And then once I run the time in Dreams, you will then see the timer in the corner, and I will try and stick to 10 minutes here. All right, so let's start this one. So I'm gonna start off by making a sea surface, just to have something for reference. Gonna turn on the stay upright. Okay, like that. I'm just gonna make it quite large. Go and change the material properties to be more reflective. And then in the foreground, we're gonna have some rocks lying. So I'm gonna be making a rock here. Turn off the guide. Let's make the overall shape of the rock. Something like that. Let's add a bit of texture to it. I'm gonna experiment a little bit here. You get some quite interesting effects by doing stuff like this and combining it with soft blend. Let's add a bit of color. Okay, then scope into the model, take your stamp shape tool, go in and make it darker color, change the shape a little bit, and then experiment with varying levels of soft blend. Maybe also try and use some subtractive soft blending too. And I'm spending a little bit of time on this because it's a pretty important part of the scene is these rocks in the foreground. And since they are lying in the water, they are going to be quite reflective too. Okay. I'll be making a group for those so that I can easily scope into it and make more rocks and change their surface properties and so on. There are actually quite a lot of these in the scene that I'm recreating. So I'm just going to be copying a lot of those. Going off in the distance here. All right. Then in the very far distant background, we have this mountain-like structure. So I'm gonna be trying and I'll be copying the rock like so, and I'm just gonna be building on top of that, sort of. Trying to get the overall shape of the structure. Okay, let's go and tweak things a little bit here. Okay. Now I'm just copying the shape here to get some surface texture. I'm going to be making a group out of this because it's not going to be as reflective as the rocks lying in the water. It'll be more like this. Hey, Viso Hack. Not sure how to pronounce your name. Good day to you too. So I'm repeating my crazy experiment from last night with having a 10-minute time limit on creating scenes and dreams. It's quite challenging, I would say. It's a fun challenge, but quite difficult. I'm just gonna be cloning a lot here in these. Right. Okay, so I think I have to concentrate a little bit on the sunlight in the scene and the placement of my camera. So I'll be adding in a camera here. Let's add a sun and sky gadget. Let's add in a gradient effects gadget in this one. And okay, so I'm gonna be moving the sun around a little bit. Something like this, I think. And then the light shouldn't be as yellow, more towards a neutral color. All right, let's turn down some of the fleck randomness. Actually, the sky is very blue in this scene. Something like this. Okay. So I think for this one I'm going to be adding a bit of a foreground blur to the camera, just to hide the imperfections of my scene here. Maybe not too much though, just a little bit. Okay, so very important that I actually make some clouds now. I think I'm gonna be using the paint strokes for this. I often use sculpts actually for clouds, but for speed I think brush strokes are a little bit faster. And then I usually set their material type to a very wax-like material to get some nice light scattering through the material. I'm just gonna scale this up a lot and then move it off to the far distance. Okay. So internally in the painting, whoops, I'm gonna go in and copy some brush strokes around, just to get this to look a little bit like my reference image. Okay, something like this maybe. Okay, let's go in and I'm gonna play a little bit with the settings of the cloud. Let's see what looks good. Something like that. Let's try and add in a light source to the image, just to give it a bit more. Just adds a little bit of variation here. Okay, so I have to be careful with the time now. All right, let's go and finally tweak the light a little bit. Okay, so this is quite far from the reference. It had quite a lot of mist in the foreground. So I would probably go in and add, if I had time, I would go in and add a little bit of mist in the foreground, but we don't have time for that. So I'm going to leave it at this. All right. So it's very tempting to go in and fix all of the things I didn't have time for, but that would kind of defeat the purpose of the challenge. But I'm going to leave it at this, and then I'm going to be collecting all the scenes in one dream. So I'll be saving this as number 7. Quick save. Scene. Let's call it a showcase. And call it number 7. Yeah, it's a very fun challenge. I was actually, when I started doing it yesterday, I was quite surprised by how difficult it actually is. And then today, actually talking over my work as well makes it even more difficult. But I guess with practice it will be easier. But now I'm going to be collecting this in my dream here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'll go into each of these scenes and I'll delete the timer and add in a timeline. Gonna add in a timeline. I'm probably gonna be making a template for this at some point, so I don't have to do it for all the scenes. But for now, let's just go in and do it manually. That way, you guys can also see the scenes again. So I'm going in to add a doorway. Added around 5 seconds. Go in, change the transition to dissolve by color. And I'm gonna be adding a global settings gadget. Go and turn off the imps, and that should be it. Let's check it out. Yes, this is the first one. Gonna save it. Quick save version as private. All right. Then we have the next one, which was this savanna-like environment. I'm going to go in there. And let's add in a timeline. Go into the timeline, add a doorway at around 5 seconds. Set the transition to dissolve, to black via color. And add a global settings gadget. Go in and turn off the imps. And I'm gonna try and see if I can find that timer again. It's in here. Delete that. And that's that. Save version. It's private. Hey John, good to see you. I'm continuing my crazy challenge from last evening with doing 10-minute sculpts in dreams. It's a lot of fun. Some of them are definitely more successful than others. I'm a bit sad I didn't have time to finish this one probably. Gonna go in and add a timeline here. And add a doorway. And transition via color. Yep. Dissolve. Yeah, you should give it a try, John. I'm sure you would do good in this. I was actually quite surprised how difficult it is, but I can already feel that now with 7 of these done that it gets easier with practice. It's very tempting to up the time to something like 15 or 20 minutes, but I think it's a good way to actually focus on what's important in your scene. If you know you have a very short amount of time, you're gonna be focusing more on composition and lighting of the scene, which is so important. But I'll definitely be doing more of these. I think I should maybe do a few of these each day, actually. Just when I, like when I did my speed painting things back in the day, I used to do a lot of quick speed paints in Photoshop. I actually had half an hour for those, so 10 minutes is a lot less, but it's streams, so you can do a lot of it. You can do a lot in 10 minutes, actually. Gonna turn off imps here. Let's see. Also make sure the timer is deleted. All right. Gonna save this, and then I'll be adding all of this to the dream. Hello, live. Good to see you. Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun to do as well, and I think also because I have such a short amount of time, it's actually more interesting to watch as well for YouTubers just dropping by. Being able to see what can be done in a short amount of time in dreams is quite impressive. Let's go ahead and update this one. Like that. All right, and let's add in. Yeah, it's we are all. I think we are all dream addicts by now. I can say for myself that it's quite challenging to be away from dreams for too long. Let's add in number 7 here, and I can I'll finally show you guys all of these scenes in one session. All right. Hey Eddie, good to see you. I'm actually nearing the end of this stream, but I'll show you guys all of the scenes here one by one. And I think I'm just gonna be jumping into edit mode and show you each of them. So last night I did 4 of these scenes. I set up this challenge for myself to see what I could, how much I could do in dreams in 10 minutes. So this was actually the first one I did, and I'm using photo images or photo references from Google Images for these. So I basically just Googled landscape photography, and then I'm quickly browsing over the thumbnails and then selecting one that I think would be interesting to do. So I guess an even more challenging challenge would be to just maybe go on something like Google Street View. There's these websites that just put you into a random Google Street View from anywhere in the world, and then you would have to recreate that in dreams. That would be a even more difficult challenge. It's okay to lurk a little bit, Eddie. Yeah, I'm always happy when people repost my stuff, so thank you for that. But anyways, this was the first one. Then I did the second one here, which was a lot of fun to do, actually. Because these fake reflections in dreams is always fun to do, and it looks quite good as well. So to those of you who don't know about this trick, it's basically just taking your sculpt here, I'm turning on precise move, and I'm cloning and then flipping the clone. So now you have what looks like a reflection of your scene. Yeah, that's true live. I'm not sure if I can actually post the images due to copyright and stuff. I don't know. I could probably just post a screen grab or something. But let's just say that my recreations are very precise. Not at all. Anyways, but when you're making reflections like this, it's a good idea to have a plane of brush strokes, just to give the the appearance of a water plane here. And then what you can also do is you can actually go into your style mode and you can up the looseness of the reflection and play around with different fleck types and stuff to give the impression of the water surface actually obscuring the reflection a bit. But anyways, this was then the second scene, the second 10-minute scene. And I then went on to make this one, which I actually didn't like that much. I really wanted to do like this very large scale mountain scenario thing, which might have been a bit too much to do in 10 minutes. But I always love these big mountain vistas with a lot of atmospherics like clouds and mist and all of that. But this was the result of that. And for this one I actually, okay, so we're just jumping on to the next one here. But I would say in general for all of these, the first ones, I made the mistake of not setting up my lights early in the scene. So I always say that I think lighting is one of the most important aspects of a successful image in Dreams. And I, usually when I have more time to make scenes, I set up the lights quite early in the process. I find it more inspiring to work in the actual lighting scenario that you're going for, compared to looking at the very flat basic light in Dreams. But I really like this one as well. I made some quite successful clouds, I think, in the background using brush strokes really set to, I think these are set to quite a high level of waxiness. Let's go and see. Maybe not so much actually. I think they have some waxiness applied to them, like something like this. You can get some very interesting effects by using waxiness and lights and Dreams. So I can show you here. If you move your spotlights around, you get this very, very nice backlit effect, and you can combine that with the distance settings of your light. If I go in here, you can see what happens. So you can get a very local effect, especially if I move it a bit closer. This is a very effective way to set up some very nice cloud vistas. And then if you combine that with the image overlay of your spotlight, you can get some even more interesting effect, even combined with some God rays and stuff, which always is a nice thing to add to your scenes. You can see here it gives this quite interesting effect. And then for things like if you want to have God rays in your scene, you can add in a fog gadget here, which you can find under cameras and lighting, and you have your fog gadget here. And I'm not sure how successful it will be in this scene, but that's the general gist of it, that you make like your fog gadget here, and then you have your lights. You can, if I try and move it a little bit closer, you should be able to see it. So you can see you get these God rays. Okay, so jumping on to the next one I did, which was the first one I did today, before I actually remembered to turn on go live in YouTube. So I don't know, I still somehow I had some viewers. I don't know how people find my streams when I'm not live. Bye John, see you later. Have a good one. So this was the next one I did. This tree here, and I wish I had time to make some more texture in the foreground. spent a little bit too much time, I think, on the structure of the tree here. But I'm happy that I got to do the clouds in the background, which was an important part of this image. And then I used a technique of copying elements, like the hill here. I then turned up the looseness quite a lot, like this. Turned up impasto, ruffle, and then I went into the style mode here. Changed the fleck types to a more grass-like fleck, like so. And then it's just a matter of just layering your sculpts in an interesting way, and then you can quite quickly get some nice surface variation going. Yeah, Eddie, that's my most used trick, I think, in Dreams, is to illuminate clouds from behind them using a wax-like material. It's a very nice effect, and I actually use that in this one too. If we can turn on the X-ray, you can see the light is down here. I love the light engine that they use in Dreams. It's so good. It's so easy to quickly compose your images and try out different effects. It's really great. See, just changing the light like this, how dramatic it changes the scene. It's a completely different image now. It actually looks a lot cooler, but I you know, for the purpose of the challenge, I really can't save this one, even though I feel like I want to save this instead of the one I did. I don't know about thermo. Probably not bad, I would say. 15%. It's not good either. But it, you know, I could probably quite easily go in and optimize it. But for the purpose of the challenge, I don't care too much about thermo. So I would say, especially for the last one here that I did, where I was going in, I made some rocks and I then cloned those. I would edit the clones to make new sculpts, which is pretty bad for thermo actually. So basically, yes, you know this, of course. It's just a matter of reusing the same sculpt as much as possible in Dreams. So I would say the next one here is actually maybe one of my favorites. I'm quite happy about how that turned out. I would have loved to spend some more time getting the light just right, but overall I really like this one. I think it turned out really well. So what I probably would have liked to do here is work a little bit more on the atmospherics to get a bit more separation between the foreground and the background. So the silhouettes could have been a little bit darker too. I could probably have gotten some of this by using a Grades and Effects gadget. Let's try it out here. Yeah, that's what I've been saying too for a long time, Eddie. And you know, I come from a background of doing a lot of 3D graphics using traditional pipelines, and there's no way I'm going back to the old way of doing things now after trying Dreams. There's so many steps involved normally in 3D graphics, and so many different programs, so many different import export workflows, and a lot of things that can go wrong in these steps. And also it's very difficult once you are, you know, close to a finished product. It's very difficult to go back and change things, whereas in Dreams you can always just go back and you can change everything, you can animate everything, and it's generally just a joy to work with, really. So easy and so creative and fun to use. I've been doing this, making art professionally for 17 years or so, and Dreams really is the most impressive piece of software I've ever used, by far, I would say. And it's really exciting to see where things go when we get VR support and when we get the PlayStation 5 as well. Yeah, that's true. It's incredibly fast. I can make things in Dreams in an hour that would probably take me days to make in another piece of software. And on top of that, everything is just so well optimized, and everything is non-destructive too. So I can go in and change everything without having to worry about redoing UV coordinates or anything like that. So I hope Dreams is also going to be used more of like a professional tool in the future. Maybe now that we are Media Molecule is well into the live version of Dreams, they will have more time to focus on a professional audience too, like improving the export options of Dreams, enabling export of 3D content, maybe even at some point allowing people to sell their games made in Dreams, export high quality video and stuff like that. Yeah, I've actually had some talks with some Danish game companies about using Dreams for pre-visual stuff, like making prototypes of mobile games and stuff like that. I think there's a big potential there as well. It's just so quick to test out things. Yeah, live. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be really amazing, I hope. I've, for the last 3 years before getting Dreams, I was very much into VR sculpting and VR painting. And I've even done work for Facebook for Quill. They have this drawing program in VR called Quill. I used to work as the artistic director for a company called Masterpiece VR, which is a VR sculpting tool, which in many ways is a bit like Dreams, I guess, but solely focused on the sculpting part of making art. Yeah. Also at the moment, I wouldn't be able to go out and work for like a Danish game company and do actual illustration work in Dreams. You have to apply through the Media Molecule made a beta program where you can apply to use Dreams for commercial products. So I'm actually working on a music video for an American artist. I'm making a music video for him in Dreams, and I applied to actually do this and sell that video, and I got the go ahead from Media Molecule through their beta program to use Dreams for that music video. So that's gonna come out sometime in the hopefully not too far distant future. Quill is, I think it's actually based on some of the same principles of the signed distance fields and all of that Dreams also use. But I would say Dreams is a lot better than Quill. It's in many ways, at least. Quill, you can do more detailed stuff in Quill, and you can export that to other 3D programs. So I've been using it for client work in the past, which where it's important that the export workflow is more versatile, I guess. but other than that, I would say Dreams is just a unique piece of software because you have everything collected in one package. You can make music, you can make art, and all of that in one tool, which saves you a lot of time not having to go through too many different programs. But anyways, let's take a look at the last scene here, and I would have loved to have more time to work on the atmosphere here. Maybe even add some stuff like a little bit of mist in the foreground. I would have done that using the fog gadget. And what I would do is just go in here, go in and change it to cube. And just make a very large cube here, something like this. Then play around with the settings until I found something that I felt worked well. And actually just something like this would have been nice to do. Yeah, that's true, Eddie. I really can't speak too much about VR and everything because of the NDA. But you know, Alex officially tweeted about the fact that people should just ask me what I felt like about Dreams VR. They should just ask me after buying me a beer, I think he wrote. So if you at some point, if you can buy me a beer, maybe I could talk to you about it. Yeah, I should go and check out the Trello board. You know, I've always enjoyed music. I used as a teenager, I used to try and make these terrible trance-like techno songs using a synthesizer and something called Reason by Propellerheads. Maybe you know that program. But I used to try and make some music there. Then I kind of ended up focusing more on doing art instead. But now with Dreams, I'm actually starting a little bit to get into music making again. Hopefully we'll actually be able to take it a bit further than I did back then. Yeah, probably now with Corona lockdown and everything, that traveling to Denmark to buy me a beer it's not gonna happen before Dreams VR is released anyways. Eddie, are you talking about the fact that VR is in like a Q&A phase now, very close to being released, like in the last stages? Yeah, live. That's probably not a good starting point then if you want to make music. But again, anything is possible in Dreams, so maybe even for somebody who's tone deaf. Actually, I would say the fact that you can lock your music tools to various scales and such actually makes it easier to make good sounding music even if you are tone deaf. Eddie, where in the world are you located? So just adding a fog gadget like this actually adds a bit of the mist that I wanted to have in the scene. But anyways, I'm not allowed to save this again because that would go over the 10-minute time frame I set up for myself for these. So don't save. And I'm just gonna go in. I think I will. Yeah, I could almost guess from your name. It sounds like a very Swedish name. So you guys are not under that heavy lockdown as the rest of the world then. Actually here in Denmark, schools have opened up now for the smallest children, and daycare as well. So my kids are off to school and daycare now, making it a bit easier to focus on work. Yeah, it's very tempting to go in and make like a second version of these scenes. I would say I could probably do a whole lot in just a few minutes. But I think I'm gonna leave them at their 10-minute versions. Let's go in here, let's take a look. I'm gonna make it to be a dissolve instead. Save. This is probably gonna be the boring part of the stream, where I just go in and change the doors. Yeah, I know, Eddie. I think the whole world is kind of watching Sweden's approach to this. Yeah, I'm working from home too, live. I've been doing that for a few years now. I used to have actually a place in Copenhagen, like this office space with other freelancers, where I would now and then I would come in there and actually work. But I find that I actually work better just, you know, not being surrounded by too many people. I'm very easily distracted, I would say, when I'm in my creative zone. So I'm very much a social kind of guy who likes to talk with people and likes to listen in on conversations and all of that. So I would used to be quite easily distracted, I would say, at the office. Again, that might be something I could get used to, but anyways, let's go in here. Yeah, they actually put all of Denmark under quite a tight lockdown during the first few weeks of this corona thing, but now they are beginning to open up the country a bit again. The amount of people who are actually sick from coronavirus is very low in Denmark. So they're working towards, I guess, slowly beginning to get a more normal every day going. We'll see how that goes. And my wife is actually working from home as well during this period of time. She's probably returning to work next week or something. So did I actually change this? Yep. But anyways, guys, I think I'll end the stream here. I'm gonna go have some lunch. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon, either here on YouTube or on some of the other social media channels. It was good talking to you guys. See you soon. Bye bye.